Hi, boys and girls, and welcome back to Mr. Grable and our Grade 3 English Language Arts class, ELA for short. Today we're going to read from our collection Spreading My Wings book a story called The Day They Saved Her Majesty. Ooh, sounds like a king or a queen book. A book about a queen, I'll bet. By John Brown and Rick Book. Hey, the author's name is Rick Book. That's kind of funny. Illustrated by Joanne Fitzgerald. Here we go. Laker was 5 years old when her father first took her to the forest just outside Mapletown. They walked along a path that wound through the shady woods, went down into a ravine, and circled around a large pond. There were fish and beaver in the pond, and deer and raccoons and rabbits in the woods. Most of the trees were maple trees. The biggest maple stood in the middle of the forest. Laker and her dad stood under it, their heads tilted way back. They could hardly see the top. "This tree is probably 100 years old," said Laker's dad. "It's so tall and beautiful. Like a queen," said Laker. "I think we should call it Her Majesty." Now I understand why they call it that. That's a good title. Ever since that day, Her Majesty was like a home in the woods for Laker and her friends. On hot summer days, she and her best pal, Jimmy, and Jimmy's big brother, Mikey, played hide and seek in the trees around Her Majesty. They sat in the shade against her trunk and told stories. They made brightly painted birdhouses and hung them from Her Majesty's branches. Way up high, hidden in the leaves, they built a tree house. Sometimes they brought picnics and climbed the rope ladder into the tree house and pretended they were shipwrecked soldiers. Laker even had her 8th birthday party up there. Then one day, the mayor of the town called a meeting. He told everyone the forest outside Mapletown had been sold. Wow, can you sell a forest? That sounds crazy. The town had to clear the land so the new owner could build a shopping mall. Everyone was surprised and very sad, except the mayor, who said the town needed the money. "Besides," the mayor said, "that's progress." Laker's mom and dad told her the news. Laker thought of Her Majesty. She thought of the other trees too, and of all the birds and animals who would lose their homes when the forest was cut down. "They can't do that," she said. Then she started to cry because she knew they could. That Saturday, Laker, Jimmy, Mikey, and their friends gathered at the treehouse one last time. They had made their favorite sandwiches and brought their favorite drinks, but no one felt like eating. No one felt like playing either. They just sat there and talked quietly. "I saw a beaver at the pond this morning," said Jimmy. "I saw a great blue heron," said a friend. "Where will they go when the forest is gone?" asked Mikey. "Where will we play?" asked another. "I wish we could do something to stop them," said Laker with a sigh. "They won't listen to us," Mikey said. We're just kids. You never know. Kids have a lot of power and a lot of good ideas. They stick together and think about it. Give it a try. At least you tried. Here's the bulldozer. Uh-oh. Soon the terrible day came. A truckload of workers arrived. They started their chainsaws. They swung their axes. Chips of wood flew. Huge trees groaned. One by one, they crashed to the ground. A bulldozer roared as it dug out the stumps. A crane hoisted the logs onto big trucks that rolled away to the sawmill. Hour after hour, the little forest grew smaller. Jimmy and Laker and their friends came to the woods to watch. There were no bird songs that day. The scream of chainsaws, the crash of trees, the roar of the bulldozer filled the air. By noon, the whole town was there. Hundreds of people watched silently. Tears rolled down their cheeks. No one knew how to stop the cutting. Now it was too late. Finally, all the trees were cut down except one. Her Majesty stood alone. The old maple towered over the field of stumps and a tangle of broken branches. Cut it down, the mayor ordered. It was Her Majesty's turn. Suddenly, Laker broke away from the crowd and ran to the tree she loved so much. She tried to climb up the treehouse ladder, but a woman in a white hard hat grabbed her and pulled her back. Laker's father led her to safety. A worker stepped up, pulled a cord, and started his chainsaw. Laker closed her eyes. The worker looked at Laker. He looked at Laker's friends and at all the sad faces of the people gathered around. Suddenly, he reached down, shut off the chainsaw, and sat quietly. I can't do this. Neither can I, said another worker. I'm going home, said another. You can't quit now, yelled the mayor. He signaled to the bulldozer driver to knock down Her Majesty. With a roar, the bulldozer turned toward the tree. Suddenly, Jimmy ran past the bulldozer to the base of Her Majesty. No, 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 don't do it, he yelled. Laker pulled free from her father's hand and ran to Jimmy. The bulldozer kept moving. Then Mikey ran out. Then their friends ran out. Then their moms and dads ran after them. And then the huge crowd of townspeople rushed toward the children in the tree. They joined hands and made a circle around Her Majesty. They stood there and faced the bulldozer. They watched it as it crawled toward them. Children should have trees to play in, someone yelled. Adults need woods to live in too, cried an old lady. Wildlife need wild places to live, said Laker's dad. Suddenly, just a few meters from the people, the bulldozer stopped. The driver looked down at the mayor, turned off his engine, and climbed down. That's it, he said. The kids are right. I think Her Majesty's going to be okay. Let's see what happens next. It's the last page. There it is. There was a hush in the crowd. The mayor looked at the people. He was very angry. Where's your common sense? He asked. I'll get somebody else to cut down this tree. And he walked away in a huff. The people started talking all at once. They laughed. Some cried. Dogs barked. Laker hugged her mom and dad. Everybody shook hands with Jimmy and Laker and told them how brave they were. A few days later, some of the parents and townspeople went to court. They stopped the mayor from cutting down Her Majesty. 1 month later, in the town elections, the mayor was defeated. The new mayor promised to plant trees over the whole area, and she did. The townspeople raised the money. They bought 2 trees for every maple tree cut down. Everyone came to help plant them. It took many years for the trees to grow. In fact, Laker and Jimmy grew up, both got married, had children, and then grandchildren before Her Majesty was surrounded by big, beautiful maple trees once again. For all that time, the people of Mapletown have told the story about the 2 children who saved Her Majesty and of how Jimmy Laker Park got its name. There you go. Jimmy Laker Park. That's what it says right there on the sign. What a great story. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.